County Canyon is probably one of the most mysterious regions in any Zelda game I've ever played, and certainly it's one of my favorites. Ikana was once a great kingdom, but faded into obscurity due to the Great Ikana War. The only life beyond the undead that can be found in the canyon consists of a little girl named Pamela, her father, and the thief known as Sochen. Sochon's a fairy now. If you don't have the girl's mask when you first enter, you can still visit one area of the kingdom, which is the Ikana Graveyard. Here lies the great Captain Kita, with whom you must do battle with to get the Captain's Hat, an item necessary to advance the plot. Using the Captain's Hat on any of the other 3 knights will lead you to different rewards, most notably a tomb guarded by an iron knuckle. Defeating this enemy makes the composer brother Flat the Younger appear. Flat tells Link a story that's a little interesting, and provides him with a tune to lift curses. To the west of Akana's castle is the Stone Tower Temple, theorized to be the stronghold of a mysterious race called the Garo. What it lies in the Great Tower is something one has to experience for themselves to truly understand, or at least to attempt to. Near here is Akana's water source, wherein lies the composer brother, Sharp the Elder. Sharp goes into a pretty long spiel, and while it is possible to play the Song of Healing for him, it does little effect other than having him comment on how he is far from it. Playing the Songs of Storms, however, being music he learned from his brother, will break Sharp of his trance, and allow Link to continue to save the land of Ikana from the evil flowing within the Stone Tower Temple. When I think of creepy levels in games, one of the first ones to come to mind is Creepy Castle, though not because of the obvious name and gimmick. Creepy Castle has a constant black sky, with the only light being from the moon, and an endless drizzle of rain. 2 of the most common enemies you'll find in this level are known as bones, which are skeletal kremlings, and critter sheets, which, as the name implies, are just literally kremlings with a sheet over their head. But it's more than these enemies that make this level creepy. There are several areas, a ballroom, a museum, a library, and even the castle itself that you can enter and explore. Inside the castle lobby, it's dark, gloomy, and foggy. In the ballroom, voices can be heard and continue on even after defeating all the enemies that lie waiting inside. In one area of the game, you must open coffins with Chunky to find a golden banana, hoping that what can pop out is not a mini-boss. There's even a minecart area you must complete with DK while trying to avoid a spooky Kremlin ghost. Fucking boss is even scary in his own right. He shoots fucking lasers at you! How's that not fucking scary? In the end, it's the mystery of how and why Creepy Castle came to be that gives this level this spot on the list. Holy fuck, where do I begin? Speaking as someone who's just completed their first run of Undertale at the time of writing this, True Life has to be one of the scariest places in the underground, and that's counting the core and the shadow areas of the waterfall where you run from Undyne. True Life is actually only accessible on the pacifist route, however, and through completing the necessary neutral entering and actually taking Flower's advice and going back to befriend Alphys. True Life is the home to the Amalgamates, the horrific results of Alphys' experimentations on monsters using extracted determination. Running into these is actually pretty scary in 3 of the 4 cases, and for all of them it's pretty saddening, especially after reading the entries on the walls. The details exactly what happened to these poor things. True Life, though, is unfortunately one of those areas that don't take very long to explore and doesn't have quite as much to see as Ikana or even the next one on the list. Fuck this place. Seriously, I had the worst time when I was going through it originally. Sochen is unfortunately the only route that the protagonists are willing to take, seeing as at this point in the game, you're not exactly ready to take on the big bad of the Arcadian Empire. If you're like me and ignore the implications of not level grinding on any time, in any game, which by this point, Ben Kaido's Origins of Pokemon probably should have taught me better, you'll encounter this area supremely underleveled. It took a good 10 hours of level grinding and beating snakes up with the sledgehammer before I was able to even think about training back to the beginning of the cave. But the fact that it's a hard area isn't what makes it so scary. It's more the fact that, pretty much in the completely optional Nabreus Deadands and Necrohol of Nabudis, the place is littered with dead creatures and nightmares. I really wish I could say that my fear of zombies is not what put it on the list, but to be honest, where enemies are concerned, it kind of is. But Druid gross things aside, the aesthetics also play a key role in Sochen earning its spot on the list. The entire setting is not only part cavern, a dark and spooky place normally associated with monsters, but also takes part in an abandoned castle. A palace, if you will? I'm sorry. Giant turtles, headless behemoths, and no, the wind ice heads do not count as actual heads. Impish creatures waiting to strike you the moment they see you. The occasional weird gooey thing if you just have some really weird luck with rare monsters. It goes all around the corridors of the Sochen Palace. Cryptic warnings and riddles are written on the walls in certain rooms. And there's even a fucking corpse in one of the rooms after a boss. It's a fucking Bonga corpse! It's white! I think it's a fucking crystal bug that did it. There was a fucking crystal bug in there. I think it was a fucking crystal bug. The thing that ties it all together, however, and my ranting aside, is the music. It's taunting, and without footage or other audio to go along with it, one might place it in a Silent Hill game. And that's speaking as someone who has never played a Silent Hill game, unfortunately. It's more the fact that it's the same few notes repeated mercilessly, occasionally changing only slightly, that make the music creepy. It sets the tone for the player's entire first go-through of it, and making people who have no prior knowledge to the level fear what could come next at every door. Or at least it did for me. I had the fucking player's guide. It's established early on, in the first few cinematic scenes in fact, that Prince Rosler's homeland of Bradia was destroyed in a single night during the war. The tragedy is mentioned off and on again throughout the entire game, and is even a major plot point for some characters. What's never clarified, however, in the main plot is what exactly became of the Wastelands. Going through certain paths in Salikawood gives the player the entrance to the Necrohol of Nabudis and the Nabreus Deadands. A short cinematic will play for the previous, showing the characters in the Necrohol and discussing what had become of it. Even before the cutscene ends, the player gets a feeling of dread. Continuing on in the Necrohol brings you the dense mist and its half-sunken palace littered with creatures of the dead. The music alone gives you a feeling of dread, as you remember the area was once as hustle and bustle as Damascus, Nabreus' sister kingdom. I honestly tried to fuck around with the places that scared me the most, just so I wouldn't have two areas from the same game or series, but the fact that several of the games I've played that have mentioned a fallen ghost town area that's centered to the plot, and you can explore it to the extent that Nabreus allows, certainly was a factor in giving this area an exception. Aside from this reason, many of the points given for Sochen Palace apply to Nabreus as well. The one point that puts it higher is what the music provides. Much of the time when you enter a place like the Nabreus Deadands, and especially the Necrohol of Nabudis, you're left questioning as to what happened that brought the location to the state it's in. In a good amount of plots I've encountered, like that of Akane Cannon and Majora's Mask, and the old house in Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, it's only vaguely hinted at as to what happened. But for Nabreus, you know exactly what happened. As I've probably stressed several times already, the music has been a key factor in the placement for both the Nabreus and Sochen Palace. It's the fact that the music helps to remind you of the tragic events that took place on that night. I'm sure had we been able to encounter Nabreus before the war, the music for it would have been just as charming as Rob Naster's and even Arcadia's. Hell, even the Salikawood, the only part of Nabreus that is exempt from this, has dancing music in it. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. Made it to the end of the video. You get to see my little doggy. Hopefully this kind of cheers you up and makes you not so scared anymore. Look at that face. Look at that face. Thank you all so much for watching. Next list I promise I'll try to have some sort of video recording. Even if it's just taking shots from, the games using the computer. But, thank you for watching, and if you enjoy this video, please check out some of the other ones I've made. Unfortunately, this is probably the first list one I've uploaded. I really need to upload more videos. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. But, as I was saying earlier, if you have any any areas in the games that you find scariest that weren't on this list, please tell me. I would love to hear them. It gives me more to check out because these are my favorite areas in games. And I'll see y'all later. Bye.